There we go. And now I've got audio.
Fuck's sake, man.
Look, I try, okay? I'm clearly I'm a professional content creator. This is how it's supposed to work.
It's a good thing you don't rely on it as a source of income.
That's, mate. Dude.
Fuck ups like that.
Even my job's a little bit scuffed. This is just too scuffed. This is reaching maximum scuff.
Fucking hell.
Good lord.
I'm never sure how long to do these for, because I don't know like how long I'm going to stretch the music, or like at what point it's going to switch to us. I guess now.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's probably going to be now because we're talking normally instead of just you making noises like before. You did a way better one before, and then you're like, oh wait, my audio's not recording. Hang on.
Classic. Oh shit.
All right, well, it's your turn.
You want to do the
or am I doing it again this time?
I'll do the. Oh, no, I can do the thing. I'll do the thing. Welcome to NULLSCORE, podcast where we talk games, content creation, online media through the eyes of two Aussie e-beggars. My name is Hamish. This is my friend and co-host, Jim. How are you, man?
Oh, mate. It's fucking fantastic. Beauty, mate. Ripper.
Yeah.
Fucking bonza.
Yeah. Have a good one. Did you like that intro read right there? Give it a little bit of spice.
Oh, mate, it was very forced. It was perfect. It was just like an actual radio show.
Just exactly. Hello and welcome to NULLSCORE, a podcast where we talk games, content creation, online media.
Fake and disgusting and plastic. It's perfect.
Exactly.
Everything it should
be. Very Twitch top 0.1%.
Very Twitch e-beggar.
Very Twitch e-beggar, which that's us. To Aussie Twitch e-beggars, mate. That's how the general community is perceived.
That's us.
We're just leaning into the meme now. So lots of things today. We want to talk about this ninja business that blew up on Twitter over the past few days, where he's basically said that losing and not getting angry is a weak mindset. I mean, that's kind of paraphrasing it a little bit, but we'll talk more about that in a little bit. We've got a little bit to talk about the design stuff of the podcast, maybe a little bit about distribution as well. I was looking at that today. Maybe we can talk about that. And we've also got that we're sort of, the running title at the moment is Gumtree Garbage. We might give it an official name later, because I know we've got a couple of things we might not just stick with Gumtree, but a few things on the agenda today, and then, of course, we'll have a look at people's comments as well, because we want to keep that up, keep that consistent. So, fair bit to get through today, man.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah?
See how long it takes us.
We'll see. Wow.
I know we were trying to keep these to an hour, but I feel like we should just, without wasting too much time, we'll just go through whatever and see how long it takes us.
Yeah.
I don't think it's so bad to have like an hour and a half or so podcast, as long as there's not so much dead air or just talking in circles or wasting time. I think our first one was a little bit like that, just because we didn't have a script.
Well, I mean, imagine trying to script an entire hour and a half podcast. I mean, we've got plans, like we have an agenda of sorts.
Yeah.
But bloody hell, it's like a movie script, right? Like
well, I also
don't.
I feel like I don't want to have a strict script that's like, here are all the things that you have to touch on and say, and that's it, and like nothing else. There has to be room for us to just talk shit sometimes, because that's quite often we're our best. Like, that was the whole reason for creating this in the first place.
Our appeal is verbal shit posting. That's our job.
Come here for all your verbal diarrhea needs.
Yeah. That's it. Like, people come in, they're like, yo, I want something informative. It's like, nah, man, you're in the wrong place. Nah, get out of here.
Not here.
Get out of here. Go to Joe Rogan, all right? That's where all the university students are getting their information. Joe Rogan and Wikipedia. That's funny. That's where it all comes in. So we'll start small, right? Design stuff for the podcast. I know that you and I have been bouncing back and forth ideas for logo stuff. talking color schemes and that sort of thing. Are we going to see more of that today? Because I know you're doing the edit room stuff. So the final product's a little bit in your hands. Are we going to see the logo in this episode, or is it going to come up next, or what's the go?
I think the design itself is probably going to stay the same for now. It's more the colors, because it's definitely how it was just a lot of blue, because that's just what I like, and is what's appealing to me. There's a particular shade of blue that I use for most stuff. That's like all my logos and shit.
So you've got a hex code for it.
I do, yeah. I know it's on my head too. I don't have it recorded. I just know what it is.
There you go. Well, there's the professional vibe. There it is.
But I wanted to do. I needed it to be more of our thing rather than just. It felt too much like it was just my stuff. Me. These are all my colors. This is my thing. I wanted it to be more us. So I started trying to figure out how the fuck can I add red to this without it looking silly. We tried purples. I found a couple shades of purple that I liked, but it just didn't look. It was kind of dull still. Like it just didn't stand out.
And I don't think it did what we wanted it to do, which is the vibe is very much a less is more aesthetic, and it's got a little bit of. I mean, I'd almost say like that. It's like that 80s, 90s futuristic, like almost like a vaporwave, close to kind of feel to it.
See, I'm always going to lean towards that because. That's what I like.
But look, well, dude, it's good for me. You see all my logos and stuff. I use the bloody. Mine's an edited form of the audio wide font. That's what I use for a lot of my stuff. Like the logo that I have, the Viserys V with the two interlocking V's, sort of. That's an edited typeface. That's an edited form of audio wide, which is a typeface available on Google Fonts. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty, like if you stack them up next to each other, like they'd fit, they wouldn't clash. But the trick is just getting the red and blue both in there somehow. And we found that purple doesn't work. No,
it just looked weird. It looked boring, man. To be honest, it looked boring. I couldn't find a shade of purple that was stood out without looking flamboyant, and too. I don't know if that's just how I felt looking at it. I was like, no, it's too flamboyant. I mean, it's like
that's one of those things, right? It's like you and I don't have any hang-ups with the LGBT community, but I think that's probably advertising. Like you're coming to the wrong place.
Here's this. Whatever, dude. I've got friends who are gay and bi and whatever else, and I know a couple trans people who I get along with really well. They're actually really good people. But that's not who we are.
Not trying to give off the impression that we are LGBT members or anything like that. So
we're
half of it.
If you look at it, their whole what a lot of them yell about, we're kind of the thing they hate most, which is a straight white male.
That's two of us. Wow, we've got a lot to work on. We got a bit to sort out. We've got a lot of catching up to do.
So anyway, moving on from the color purple and too flamboyant for us, we just started moving towards red and blue, just a mix of red and blue.
Which the answer was simple. It was right in front of us, right from the get go. Just put them side by side,
put them next to each other. Yeah. Let them stand
and it looks okay. It almost reminds me of like a racing logo of sort.
Kind of.
When I first saw it.
Well, like the late 80s, early 90s gaming logos. Like that's the kind of thing that I suppose that's what I grew up with. So a lot of that influences things that I do without me sort of wanting it to, or intending to create things that I don't know, that evoke that sort of imagery. It's just that's what's ingrained into me from playing so many of those fucking games. Like after I sat back and looked at them, and I was like, why does this seem so familiar? And I realized that it's colors that are used a lot in the Double Dragon series, which I played the shit out of as a kid. So I think it's come from that.
Yeah, you reckon? So it's like all the stuff from early on that's kind of bleeding now into your adult life.
Yeah.
Well, they say, I think they talk about this with music taste as well. They say that the stuff that you listen to and you really like when you're like 14 stays with you for life. And that kind of interest sort of really keeps with you. That's like kind of your formative years when it comes to listening to music. So a lot of the times I think you find, or I suppose I'd have to find this study again because I'm kind of just talking out my ass from what I remember. But the point of it was like your music taste will like change over time, but they found a really strong correlation with stuff that you listened to when you were 14 still being something that you're liking for a long time, like long into your life. So people my age have a bit of a soft spot for Linkin Park, like new metal, that sort of thing, because that's
Linkin
a lot
Park,
of what we were listening
Bizkit,
to.
Blink, Korn, that sort of stuff. Sum 41, like all those like pop punk and the new metal bands that were really popular at the time. I feel like that's the kind of stuff that gets talked about. But I wasn't like it's kind of funny you say that because that stuff was popular when I was around that age, but I didn't listen to it and didn't enjoy it. I was listening to I was raiding mum's fucking tapes and stuff and finding like old mate. Like, fuck, this is so much better.
But do you listen to that stuff now?
Yeah.
Like the stuff on your mum's tapes? Well, there you go. So, the theory sort of holds up. You know, it's whatever you were listening to at the time. I mean, obviously, whatever's popular is going to have a greater prevalence. But for you, that's whatever's on your mum's tapes. So, you know, it sort of works out all in the end. Scientists might have got it right this time.
I mean, I feel like I should just trust the guys who are smarter than I'll ever be.
So that was a very Trump thing to say of me, wasn't it? Well, I don't know about these scientists, blokes.
We've got the best scientists.
Yeah. We've got American scientists who do better science than anybody else. Because it's full of freedom. Even the beakers have freedom.
It's a horrible American accent. Not that I could probably do much better.
Yeah, I was about to say, go on then.
No. Listen, I can't make a good pizza, but I still know when one sucks.
Okay, all right. Papa Jim's over here, starting up his own pizzeria in Perth.
Anchovies are compulsory.
Oh, dude, screen pizza still haunts my nightmares.
There'll be another one soon. We'll do another one.
Yeah.
I think that's only fair for us to both have to do it next time, though, I think. At the same time.
Well, yeah. And just get like just a gnarly one. We'll let Chat take it this time.
Chat can fucking take the reins and figuring out what garbage we're going to eat, and we both order it. And fucking eat it at the same time.
Yeah, for those of you there, maybe you're a new listener. Maybe it's 70 episodes in the future and we're still here doing this thing, but somehow we've got a crowd of people that haven't seen our streams. Stream pizza is basically where we let Chat pick the toppings and we eat it. And because Chat are a bunch of sadistic people, sometimes ordinarily it's a combination of things that is just absolutely horrid. I think I had like a double anchovy mayonnaise pizza at one point.
Well, the double anchovies is my fault, but they also made you get I think they made you get all of you had oregano, you had chili flakes, you had all of the like garlic flakes, I think as well. You had like all of the things that could go on, all of the like stuff that would come in like a little shaker or like a, you know.
Yeah.
Every option there was, they put all those things on your pizza. You had prawns as well, I remember.
Yeah, they put a lot of big flavors on my pizza. That's the way that I think.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So it was a bit of a mess. So, you know what? No, it wasn't a bit of a mess. It was a hot pile of flaming garbage. It was horrible. Dude, you can watch the video back. I I take my first bite and I'm like, "Wah!"
See, you complained the whole way through. I ate the whole fucking thing.
Your ability to shovel down garbage pizza is unparalleled, my friend. It's a skill that I wish that I could acquire. It's necessary for streaming. That along with dyeing my hair and e-begging. It's one of the other things I've got to do.
All right, let's move on.
I think this is going to be a recurring meme, e-begging, I think.
I think so.
So, meat and potatoes of today's podcast is this ninja tweet. which blew up for a number of reasons, but effectively sort of, I'd say, split the Twitter community down the middle, the streamer, gamer, Twitter community down the middle. And the tweet that sort of started it all off was Ninja put out a tweet and it said, the phrase, "it's just a game," is such a weak mindset. You are okay with what happened, losing, imperfection of a craft. When you stop getting angry after losing, you've lost twice. There's always something to learn and always room for improvement. Never settle. Now, the sort of, I think there were a lot of opinions around this because, well, I mean, you say that and you like there was a lot going on. Did you see this?
I saw the tweet.
Yeah. What did you think?
Well, I have Ninja blocked on Twitter now, so.
Really?
Yeah, I blocked. I don't want to see his garbage anymore. I was on the edge over his TikTok tweets that he started putting out. Like, oh God, fucking really? I saw two of them. I was like, these are terrible. Why the fuck? and then this one, I was like, nah, I can't handle this idiot anymore.
That's it.
I'm calling him an idiot. He's got more money than I'm ever going to see in one place in my entire life. But it's still like,
and I always have a sort of a modicum of respect for Ninja, and you know, it probably even goes greater than that. I think I have a healthy respect for Ninja in the things that he's done for streaming generally. Like, Ninja is undoubtedly a pioneer in the industry. His move to Mixer set up it doesn't really help us. It set up all the really big dog streamers for a lot of job security. And he kicked off the sign-up races, you know, that we've been seeing over the past few months. But I'm with you, his TikTok content's garbage. I can't bear to watch it in my feed either.
Yeah, I can't stand seeing it. And the problem with it is there's so many people following or commenting on it or liking it or whatever that even though I wasn't following him in the first place, I'm seeing everything that he tweets, I'm seeing it anyway because someone that I do follow has interacted with it in some way. And it's like, here, this person liked this. Maybe you will too. Here, look at this shit. I'm like, I don't want to see it.
I had a long time in my Twitter feed. I just had stuff that made no sense to me or that was like entirely irrelevant because two of the people that I follow on Twitter are Christina and Tiny, right?
Yeah.
And they both, I think, speak other languages.
Yep.
So my feed would be just cluttered with Singaporean and Fijian people doing tweets in like half English, half Fijian or half whatever. And I'm sitting there going, it's not so bad because sometimes the videos you can watch and you go, that's pretty funny. That's a lady getting locked in a garage that she didn't intend to get locked into.
I was going to say, it's not so bad with the Fijian stuff because they usually stick to English enough that you can understand what they're talking about. But the ones that Christina interacts with and then I read, there's like English words here and there, but it's mostly whatever it is that they speak. And I can't make any fucking sense of it. Like, what the fuck does this mean?
For us monolingual idiots, it is just inaccessible. It's content that I'll never get to enjoy.
Yeah.
Then again, I mean, I'm not particularly fussed and missing out on the majority of Twitter content. Like there is a lot of stuff out there that's pretty rough. I'll tell you what, I'll give you the highlights from what I saw from the Ninja tweet. We had some big names commenting on this one. Some of the big ones, Asmongold, he said, this is true. I've broken 3 Sega Genesis consoles, but I've also beaten Sonic the Hedgehog 3. So he's kind of clowning on him a little bit.
Yeah.
Grande, of course, one of the greatest memesters alive right now. One of the meme gods, meme merchant. Okay. He says, the phrase, you kiss your mother with that mouth, on the other hand, is such a strong mindset. Which I really like. And he was one of the highest upvoted, liked tweet. Oh, man, dude, social media lingo sometimes. In there, he came in with like 30,000, which is like a quarter of Ninja's original one, or a fifth even. Some guy just reposted the original clip where it's taken from, and he's just gone facts. What's this guy? Brick from Mixer. Oh, wow, he's got like 280 followers, but have you ever, you know Mixer, right? It's that dead platform.
It's not dead.
No one can...
Don't be like that. It's not
No,
dead.
I'm just kicking it because I know that last time somebody talked shit about Ninja or Mixer, Ninja lost his shit. Do you remember that? It was like some kid was like a Fortnite streamer and he was like, yo, you don't respect the OGs. And then he like talked about Mixer and Ninja was like, the fuck did you say to me, you little shit? Or whatever. He did basically just did the same thing again.
Did he?
Yeah, it wasn't
what,
that
Ninja
clip,
had
like
an angry outburst? What do you mean? He's so calm all the time.
I just so unusual. It was just one of those really rare events. And, obviously, I was just so studious in catching it.
I think KSI's reply to him was pretty good. He said something like,
what did KSI
you're gonna be
say?
A scary parent, fam, or something like that.
Him, his scary dad. You imagine him on the sideline at a soccer game, and his kid like misses a pass or something. He's like, "Why aren't you angry? Why aren't you disappointed?" And you know, Ninja's the type of guy to call his kid Katana or something like that. Like he's absolutely big enough in the celebrity world to give his kid a stupid name.
Yeah,
right. Like because like there's like Gwyneth Paltrow's kid called Apple. Right.
Doesn't she have a few kids that all have like kind of dumb names like that?
I don't know. Maybe she's got some sisters called. She's got sisters called Peaches and Cream. I don't care. I've not looked it up. But there's a certain point. I think you reach a level of celebrity where all of a sudden you're supposed to give your kid some shit name like Compass or Northwest or whatever. Mm-hmm. You know. I think Ninja would think. I think Ninja absolutely knows that or he thinks he's in that category. So he's going to give his kid a really weird shit name, I think. I think Tim the Tap Man's kind of like edging on it when he called his kid Brewer, but I think that's still okay. But definitely, I think Ninja will give his kid a weird name. Dull and Dark, another prolific memester, said, finally I can justify burning my parents' house down after a tough game of Purple Place. Just, again, clowning on him. Dolan, of course, one of them, more of the local meme lords. He's, I think, based out of New Zealand, for those of you that didn't know. I could be wrong, by the way. Also talking out my ass, but I think he's talked about New Zealand a few times. 100 Thieves Frost said, I ran away from home once because my mum threw out my PlayStation after I launched my controller at my grandma and knocked her unconscious for 3 hours because I got world starred in a COD game. These people just don't understand us, Ninja. Yeah. And then, of course, our Lord and Saviour, XQC, closing the ballot with... Please, next time you're about to tweet some absolute dumb shit like this, do us all a favor and shut the fuck up. So
coming from
XQC, saying somebody else saying that you're talking some mad shit, man, and telling him to cut it out. That's big news. Oh, okay. Sorry, and of course Seth Everman. Our bald god of YouTube says me playing Nintendogs, which I thought was just top notch. Did you ever play Nintendogs?
Nah.
Oh mate, arguably. Hey. Oh, look. Here's the thing, right? Nintendogs is marketed. I'm just gonna run with this. Nintendogs is marketed as one of the most like relaxing. It was one of the games that originally released with the DS, right? Mm-hmm. My brother was given a DS quite early on. I never owned one because I had a PSP as a kid, right? So I never had a DS, I think, for myself. But he did, and Nintendogs was one of the games that originally released. You know how like when a handheld or a console releases, there's like 4 or 5 games for it, and that's about it?
Yep.
Nintendogs was like the one that they marketed because you could like pat the dog with the stylus or whatever. It's supposed to be this like really relaxing game where you're teaching this puppy to do tricks, and you could like get it to sit and lie down and roll over and yada yada, and you could get it to go through like shows and all sorts of stuff. Right? Like it was a whole thing. And you could get different kinds of dogs, and it was supposed to be this like really generic, relaxing experience. Here's the thing. If you ever had one of those first generation DS, and this game was designed to show off all the features, right? So of course it has to use the microphone feature. Back then it was just not working at all. So you would sit there and you'd be like looking at this fucking pixelated Labrador looking up at you with this goofy expression trying to get it to sit. And you'd be sit there with your DS like elbows locked like, sit!
And squeezing the console so hard that it's curving.
And it just wouldn't do anything.
You fucking stupid creature. And it's just like, I just imagine some kid doing this, like sitting out in public somewhere, just screaming into this like handheld. And there's just old people walking past like, what the fuck? Like, what is wrong with kids? It's like,
he's looking at a bench, he's yelling at his screen. He's like, Rover, I said, sit down. We've been over this for 3 days. You know? I think this is why that Nintendogs is why millennials have a bad rep. Okay, one boomer had a bad experience with some kid yelling at a digital Labrador, and then that's it. It ruined it for everyone. That's what happened.
This reminded me of like when I was in school. It's like Tamagotchis and fucking Digimon.
Oh, dude, yes.
And how the teacher someone would get theirs confiscated and get it back at the end of the day, and just the whole day they're complaining because if you don't give me that thing back, this fucking pixelated creature thing is going to just shit. It's going to spend all day shitting, and it's going to get sick, and it's going to die.
Swim in its own shit.
I remember seeing a friend got his back at the end of the day, and it wasn't dead, but what it does is it just made like it just arranged the poos in a pyramid on screen, so it would get bigger and bigger, just in a fucking this big triangle of shit. And what it ends up doing, if you let it go too far and the creature hasn't died yet, is like the creature is still like moving back and forth on the screen, but it obviously has to make it smaller to account for the giant fucking shit monument that's built throughout the day. So there's just like this big fucking triangle, and then just a single pixel that was like moving like back and forth by one square. And I was like, what happened? He's like, it's a shit. So there's so much shit.
It's the Kosciuszko of poo, dude. It's just this ginormous mountain.
At least dogs don't like, well, I need to shit and there's still shits here. I guess I'll just shit onto my shit and make a fucking pile just here, just this one pile of shit. I suppose that would be smart, wouldn't it? Rather than spreading it all around the fucking backyard, turning it into like
I would love it if my dog did that.
Yeah.
If my dog pooed in a designated same area every time, I think that'd be great. But somewhere along the line there,
I've seen it. I hated it. It looked stupid. I never played it.
The point that I'm getting at is that game is supposed to be relaxing, and I can say hands down that is the most rage-inducing game I ever played at the age of like 13.
I think for me it was Mortal Kombat 2. Fucking hell.
Yeah. Good Lord. Tell you what, speaking of rage in gaming, circling back to this Ninja tweet, right? We had, of course, all of these joking responses, but at the end of the day, there were a few people who took it to basically make a point out of it, right? And there were a lot of sort of camps that I think are generally united under the same banner, which is, one is, yeah, you're right. I agree with you. Two, you're wrong. And, you know, teaching kids to be angry at games is horrible and you're an idiot. And then three was, I get what you're trying to say, but you said it so bad no one actually cares and it's just a clown thing at this point. And I think that's generally where people fell.
I think that's where most reasonable people will fall.
I think so. I think that's the voice of reason, right?
People who are mature enough to like have grown past raging hard at games, like.
Yeah. So one of the biggest responses in that category was Omrecker. I've never watched a lot of Omrecker stuff. I don't know exactly what he does. But from what I could tell, he's a bit of a big creator, and he says, I disagree completely. You don't have to be a sore/salty loser, get all toxic to learn from a loss. I feel strongly losing helps you get better, especially in competitive games. Anyone doing anything competitive should find value in a loss, but don't need anger to benefit. Suggesting that anyone actually manages their emotions after facing a loss as losing twice is really weak. It feels like you're stretching to justify your own internal challenges. I don't know where this is coming from, but everyone reacts differently. Which, I follow his logic, but I also think that response is boring because every Instagram influencer has the same response.
I think I like Deadly Slob's response. I mean,
What did Deadly Slob say?
So he's a Tarkov. He's a Tarkov player.
I know who he is. He's
Yeah.
good. He's a great Tarkov player. Yeah.
So his response was, "You're halfway right. Aggression and letting your emotions get the best of you isn't the answer. You need to take ownership over your mistakes to learn and grow. Pushing blame on the game or other players eliminates room for improvement. Ownership is key to success, not anger."
Yeah.
I mean, he's only addressing some of what he said as well.
He's also, I think he's accidentally pigeonholed himself into saying being angry at the game. I think Ninja is keeping it broad and saying angry at yourself as well. But I think he's right. I think in that context he's correct. I think he's missed out on this idea.
Well, getting angry at yourself also doesn't help, man. Like, what's the point? It's normal to feel that way, but it doesn't mean you have to fucking, like, he's saying, what Ninja is saying, when you're still getting angry after losing, you've lost twice. That's not true. That's just flat out not true, man. That's a waste of time to be angry about it. Analyze it, sure, try to improve. But
I think what he's trying to say is that, I'll tell you where I think it's coming from. I think it's coming from this idea that Ninja built a career around games. That's his whole thing. Like, if you want to really narrow it down, Fortnite specifically, that's his biggest thing. Has he moved on to create a larger brand than Fortnite? Yeah. I think if push came to shove and he had to switch games, I think Ninja could make the jump. But there is so much of it tied up in Fortnite specifically and gaming specifically, and he's known as a gamer, that I think that whole idea of it's just a game is very insulting to him as a person and the career he's built, right? And then as a result, he's then gone onto Twitter. He's like, you can't just say it's just a game, like, I take this seriously. That's why I get angry, And he just phrased it in the most foot-in-mouth way possible. And this is probably where I put my little tinfoil hat on, right, as a fellow content creator. And I honestly think that there's one of two things. One is he just goofed up, right? Which I think is less likely than the alternative. The alternative is I think he intentionally phrased it that way to be antagonistic for it to get traction. And I think he succeeded.
I think it's that. I would say it's more likely that.
There are so many things where people, especially in Twitter, because everybody's just thirsty for blood on Twitter, and they're all ready for the hashtag cancel culture bus, because everybody on Twitter has an opinion and they're ready to share it because everybody else on Twitter cares about everyone else's opinion, right? And it's just so much free publicity. Like, Bad Bunny is an excellent example, right? Bad Bunny's behavior, whenever you see her, she's this streamer that was giving people shit for not subbing, right? They called people like non-donating, non-subbing pawns. Yeah, I remember. And everyone was like, ha ha, look at this e-girl begging for donations and subs. What a silly person. And then you sort of sit there and you go, I mean, you realise that she probably subscribes to the idea that any publicity is good publicity, right? Like, that's what she's doing. And I think we're seeing the same thing here with Ninja a little bit. I think he's got a point in that, you can take things seriously and you can have self-improve. I think he's deliberately lobbed that bit in there so that it gains a bit of traction. And that's what I think. That's where I'm at it.
It's just to get people to talk. I mean, I think the last part of that first like supposed paragraph, whatever the fuck you want to call it there, he's intentionally said something that he knows isn't true, which is when you stop getting angry after losing, you've lost twice. So he's smart enough to know that not getting angry isn't the same as not caring.
Yeah,
He
he is incredibly smart when it comes to this sort of stuff. He has to be. There's no way around it. The man's been part of this community for years. Yeah, exactly. Like there's this idea. You can sit here and debate whether you think that Ninja is intelligent, right? The guy has incredible game sense. He's in some respects he has to be intelligent considering the way that he plays video games, right? But his knowledge of streaming and content creation would just be huge. Like the guy's top dog. He's got all of the resources available to him that he could possibly have. And I know that some people here would say, is Ninja really the top dog when it comes to streaming? I think he is. I think you can look at other people's numbers and you can say, oh yeah, this person's got more viewers, this person's got more subscribers. No one is more well known than Ninja. Ninja is a household name at this point, which I don't think any other streamer has achieved. If I talk to my mum about Shroud, I don't think she'd know who Shroud is. If I talk to my mum about Dr. Disrespect, I don't know if she'd know who Dr. Disrespect is. Or Pokimane, for that matter, right? If I talked about Ninja, I bet she'd have a clue. I reckon she'd have a little bit of an inkling. So
yeah, you're probably right. Probably the same with my parents as well.
Yeah. So I think when if you talk about streamers, you talk about the biggest example, I think you're pretty much always talking about Ninja because Ninja just has crazy levels of recognition. But there was another one that I really liked because I don't want to sit on this Ninja tweet forever, right? Because at the end of the day, it's a little bit of Twitter drama, okay? And we can sit here, we can milk it for content, and we can give him shit. But, it's not something I want to do forever. But one of my favorite ones was actually from Brian Kibler. Now, I don't know if you're going to know who Brian Kibler is, but Brian Kibler he's a Hearthstone streamer. But he made his sort of debut and a lot of his early career playing Magic the Gathering, right? And he was a pro player, and I think he won a tournament. He was admitted to the Hall of Fame. He's huge, like prolific in the professional Magic the Gathering and Hearthstone community, right? When it comes to card games, Brian Kibler is one of the biggest names, yeah? He said, I feel like the strive for excellence sentiment here is good, but one of the most important things for people to get good when they play games competitively is losing. So he's saying you have to get good at losing because they're going to do it a lot. You can strive for excellence without getting angry when you lose. Your younger audience is not going to understand the nuance here, and what you're saying sounds like it justifies raging and other toxic behavior, right?
Yep.
Very level-headed response, very logical. I agree with that on a lot of levels. I think Brian's response is very much in line with my own response to the situation. However, what I found most funny is sort of like this fallout from Ninja's community, because he then posted another tweet about, 24 hours later? It says, my reply to Ninja's just a game tweet kind of blew up and led to a bunch of people in my mentions telling me my attitude will never get me anywhere competitively, and I'm curious if they ever look at who they're applying to when they post their nonsense here on this website. The man's a professional card game player. He's won worldwide tournaments. He literally is the guy to talk to about this sort of shit. Look, and he got a whole bunch of people in his mentions going, "You'll never get anywhere. I'm all about that grind. Fire emoji."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Guys, I'm like fucking 34 years old. All right, I've been doing this shit way longer than you. Calm down, there, XX Dragon Slayer Assassin Dark Knight XX 59." Okay. I thought that was awesome. Brian Kibler is one of the people that I'll watch, even though a lot of the games that he plays aren't in line with a lot of what I play now. I used to play a bit of Hearthstone back in the day, but he's just one of those guys I'll still watch today. He's just super entertaining, and it was awesome to see that come from his end. It was really, really cool. But
I think, like, I don't know. Have you got your response for that, or is that like?
I think Brian's very much. I think Brian's very much in line with what I was thinking. I think it's exactly right. I mean, I tag onto that the idea that Ninja's clearly done this for exposure. In my opinion, okay, he may not have done that, but I think he's done that for exposure. I think he's phrased it that way to get traction.
Yeah.
He's obviously been successful, but pretty well I mirror Brian's sentiments in that the idea is good, the execution's just horrid. But I think that the execution's also intentional. So
I think it's fine to apply that to some areas of your life, but I think the way that he's put it here, it's just a game, such a weak mindset. So for him, gaming is his career. It's not that way for most people. So imagine applying that to like anything else, just something else that you treat as a pastime, or just as like just a general everyday thing that for some people might be a career. I had a response written down here. I'll pull bits from it. My response is more or less, I don't really care what Ninja says. I'm allowed to enjoy gaming the same way I enjoy making coffee without worrying about, being a barista or whatever. I don't need to make fucking coffee to that level. I'm fine playing guitar without needing to strive to be a fucking,
You don't want to be Jimi Hendrix.
No, I don't need to. I don't need to play like Eddie Van Halen or Steve Vai. I don't care. I don't need to be on that level. I don't want to turn my sex life into, well, I have to compete. I have to be as good or better than Johnny Sins. I don't need to feel like I'm shooting for porn every time. I just want to enjoy the things that I enjoy. Can I just make a fucking coffee and enjoy the coffee and play guitar and just enjoy that? I don't need to get angry when I fuck something up. I need to get angry when I fuck a cord up, or I burn my milk, or I don't know, fucking, oh shit, I'm starting to fucking lose my erection. I better crack the shits, and I don't know. I don't need to, getting angry about those things isn't going to make me any better. How do I improve this? Do you understand where I'm coming from?
I'm just stuck on the Johnny Sins thing. Have you like? He is so good. Have you seen like some of the cameo stuff that he does? Like there was some for like, he did some big thing for like a big Twitch stream. I think it was like a cancer drive or something like that. And he was like, attention all gamers, do this or I'm going to sleep with your mum. And it's like, the most legitimate COD lobby threat you've ever heard.
Yeah.
If anyone's going to do it, it's Johnny Sins.
I mean, I don't think my mum's into bald dudes, so. But I don't know, maybe.
Look,
who knows?
If anyone can do it, it's Johnny. All right, that's where I'm leaving it.
I wrapped it up by saying wanting to improve is good, but casually enjoying things without raging at imperfection is also fine. I don't want to live my life being constantly angry at every fucking mistake that I make. That's not healthy. That's not normal. I wouldn't even say normal. It's just, it's not useful. It's not going to help you progress, I don't think. And the people who are constantly getting angry at things like that, it must be such a stressful life. These are people who have heart attacks before the age of 40, like multiple, just constantly high blood pressure, stressing the fuck out.
Like that Kurt bloke who got angry about those COD guys that didn't acknowledge his host.
We're going to get back to that.
It's a bit of a throwback, guys.
I always picture them as like these guys who rage about everything like that. I picture them as the teacher. I can't remember his fucking name. The teacher from Daria that had like the eye that would always like pop out when he got angry.
Oh, yeah. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Yeah. Maybe we'll have to have a link to a bloody Google image search so that if you guys are watching on YouTube, you can go and have a look, check that out. I mean, the podcast really is only on YouTube for the moment. We got to talk about, what we want to do, hosting services.
I had to, I meant to talk to you about that, but we'll do it after the podcast. It's not
okay. All right, we'll do it off podcast because I feel like that's probably
as you think.
No, and I think it's maybe we can dive into the technical stuff once we've had more experience with it. But I think just at the moment we're both kind of working out the whole thing. So
Man, this
for the
whole
moment
thing
it's staying
is
up
so
on YouTube.
fucking shonky and like,
Yeah.
we're still
It
learning.
really is.
So.
Yeah. It's a little bit scuffed. But
All right.
yeah, so we'll dive more into that once we've got a better idea of it, because then we might actually be able to provide some tiny little nugget of value in that conversation, and not just like blindly shitpost. So that we can, so you're not listening to us rambling. I think if you got a plan, it's a little bit easier to listen to. Speaking of plans, have a look at that segue, Viscerus. Ooh, garbage or God? Gumtree garbage. Marketplace mishaps. We don't have a name for this.
No,
but we have a plan. What's the plan, Jim?
That was the weirdest fucking.
Do we actually have a plan, or are we in trouble here?
No, I don't know, man. Not really. Like it was more just an idea that I hadn't finished fleshing out before I mentioned it, and then you were like, "Yeah, well, let's do it then." I'm like, well, hang on, it's not fucking. And you're like, "No, we mentioned it, so we have to do it now." I'm like, fuck me. All I did was like briefly mention it, and you're like, "Nah, that's it. We're jumping on it now.
We're doing it. We're running it."
So, really, it just came from me like looking. Whenever I'm looking to buy something from Gumtree, I feel like I just find the most absolute fucking trash listings. Like just either low effort posts, or like people don't put their details in there, or they won't put a fucking address. They'll just say Perth, and it's like, oh, okay. So you contact them, like, yeah, where is it? And it's an hour and a half drive away north. Like, why did you put Perth?
Perth's a big place. Perth's a very big place, according to
yes, but if
this
it's
guy.
up in fucking Hillary's, like an hour away, it's not in Perth. It's in Hillary's.
It's Perth. It's like half an hour's drive from Alice Springs. Calm down, okay?
It's like Dingo. You remember Dingo? It's like Dingo saying he lives in Perth. He doesn't. He's about an hour and a half south. Probably about an hour and a half south. That's not really in Perth anymore.
No, it's not. I don't think so. I think it's like when people, like in Brisbane, we have a similar thing where we have this suburb called Logan, and it's supposed to be a suburb of Brisbane, but it's like an hour drive from Brisbane. Or like Ipswich, I think, is another one. It's like a half an hour drive out of Brisbane, and you're like, this is not Brisbane. And it's like, it's not even like a half hour drive through the city. It's like a half hour drive on the highway. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Like, it's not like, oh, it's the city, so it takes longer to get through because traffic lights. Like, no, shut up. It's highway driving. Okay, you are not a suburb. You are a new town. Get over it.
That's exactly what I was talking about. Dingo is about an hour and a half drive south on the freeway only. No turning off. Just like the freeways goes through the guts of the city. If you left the city on the freeway, it would take you an hour and a half to get to him. That's not Perth anymore. That's fucking many suburbs away from Perth.
That's pretty far. That's you got a ways to go. All right, you try to walk that on foot and you're a bit busted.
Not according to Gumtree, people. That's Perth. It's all the same. What do you mean? It's just down the road.
Rolling it back to the Gumtree thing. These segues are getting out of control. The rubber banding is intense. So you said you found a couple of listings, right? I haven't seen these yet. Do we have those, or are we going to talk about the guy that I found?
Oh, let's talk about the guy you found first. It's funnier.
We'll talk about the guy that I found. Okay, well, the thing about the guy that I found is I think he's more of a Gumtree god, personally. I don't think this is some Gumtree garbage. I think he's come up with one of the funniest ads I've ever read. I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm a bit of a Gumtree noob when we talk about this sort of stuff. All right, I've not been gumming my tree very long, and this guy caught my attention. And the basic premise of it is it's basically this Gold Coast bloke is trying to sell his ute. All right, it's a Land Cruiser 79 Series GXL. Okay, and the way he describes it is top notch, right? Like the description in the advert is awesome. And the way that I had to go and find out about this, by the way, I found it in a news.com.au article called under the heading Bogan Car, right? Because the ad listing had since been taken down because Gumtree doesn't host it anymore, right? The car got sold, okay? Obviously, the car gets sold with an ad this good, right? He says, and he basically describes this ute as God's gift to utes, right? Or more specifically, God's gift of a ute to man, right? Because he describes the white man truck as running on pure testosterone, right?
Wouldn't that be bad? Wouldn't you want it to not run? What the fuck?
Yeah, man. It's diesel injected, 95 diesel, 5%, just straight up testosterone. Just like turn up to a pharmacist or whatever. Get it done.
What the fuck?
He says, a UHF radio comes with my truck so you can keep in touch with your mates without ever having to go on FaceTube or TwitSpace or whatever the kids are doing. So this guy, there's clearly some big boomer energy here. Some big boomer energy. My personal favorite, however, is it. I'm sorry, I'm trying to read this, but I'm having trouble. It says it has large rear view mirrors, so you can see the look of bewilderment on the faces of the roos as they cartwheel off into the spin effects. And a front-facing snorkel capable of sucking clouds right out of the sky. So he's
put a lot of effort into his
He's put a lot of effort in there. Yeah. It's awesome. It's like the GXL stands for Get Extra Loving, as the ladies will be powerless to resist your charms. You'll discover illegitimate children you didn't know that you had, mainly rangers.
Mainly rangers.
Yeah. Oh, it was just top. It was just so good. He describes it as an engineering marvel. Letting it go below market value because he's a top bloke. And I thought that was one of the funniest ads I'd ever read. I legitimately was at my desk trying to hold back laughter at work today when I was reading that part about the bewildered look on the face of kangaroos.
I think some of the funnier ads, I don't really come across funny ads so much as like the ad is fine and then there's just something funny that they've put in there. Like I was looking at an XW Falcon ages ago.
Yep.
And it was, I think it was a Fairmont. It was all nicely kept, very, very original looking, but well looked after. Everything was shiny that's supposed to be, and it was all pretty fucking straight and nothing out of the ordinary. Nothing.
It was all pretty,
very
all in order.
Yep. Some old guy who's looked after his car, and his ad was very extensive list of everything about the car, every question that you could think to ask, he's already answered it.
So he's one of these like old car guys.
Yeah.
Like he knows everything that you just possibly to know about his car.
He knows exactly
he's already got the
what his
information.
car is, and he knows what you're going to want to know about it. He's already told you in the ad.
Right, so it's a good ad. It's very
good ad.
informative.
Then I got right down to the bottom, and the last line in all caps just said, "No dickheads."
Well, now he's just blown all his good work out of the water.
No.
Bob, we need to be more specific. How do we quantify a dickhead? What's our measurement? What's a dickhead move?
Usually you see some people will put things there like no time wasters, no tire kickers, blah, blah, blah. This guy just went straight for no dickheads. Don't bother. Don't waste my time.
Wait, like Bob, what if they're usually a dickhead, but they're being serious this time? What if they've turned over a new leaf? What if they've left their dickhead ways behind them?
What if they don't show you they're a dickhead until after they've bought the car already? Paperwork's been done.
Exactly. What if they're a perfectly non-dickheaded citizen and then they display a moment of dickheadedness?
How's he going to live
What
with
then?
himself after he sold it?
Oh no, he was a dickhead all along.
Oh, damn it! Son of a... Gets taken to the like discrimination commission because he wouldn't sell a car to a dickhead. And they're like, the judge is like, is this some sort of like racial thing? He's like, no, sir, he just turned up in board shorts and volleys and he wouldn't sell him the car.
He was wearing a Bintang singlet, so I told him to fuck off.
He had a tap out shirt, so I sent him home.
Oh, fuck. We got to move on to the next thing. I was going to ask for a link to this ute, but I suppose there's not really anything except for the article if the ute sold and the ads.
No, I can send you the listing that had been ended because I went and had a look. I went to go find it, and I've got the ad. It says, "Sorry, this ad's no longer available." So,
oh man, no, I think
it's.
Look, I got something for you. I know you've been thinking about getting a new mouse, so I'm just going to send you this. I'm not. Okay. I can't put these ads. I can't put them in the Discord because this one's a Facebook Marketplace ad, and I don't want this person.
We don't want to dox somebody.
No. So I'll put the pictures in the fucking. In the podcast.
So we'll just rip the pictures and we'll blur any of the things. Okay, so we're looking here at what looks to be a particularly grubby Exornit mouse, CM Storm.
That's
definitely
it's a
looks.
mouse.
Oh God, Jesus! And what are they selling for? $3.
Mate, it's a fucking steal.
Good Lord, it's gross. It's hot. It's grotty. It looks like somebody like this. This looks like the mouse was owned by either A, their dog, or B, a Yeti. And that person has just gradually it's like they ended every gaming session by rubbing it on their head. Maybe I'm being a bit too harsh on it.
Comes with free skin, mate. free skin. You can see a few hairs in there and everything. Look at it.
Just a DNA donation, man. Don't even worry about it. How good. Good Lord.
Oh,
that's the grottiest shit that I've seen in a while.
I've seen so many mice like that, and I just love when they say hardly used or used twice or something, and it just looks like the owner has spent like all their time sitting at their desk, masturbating, eating Cheetos, and spilling Coke everywhere, and then it just that's what's in the mouse.
That's what they've come up with.
Yeah,
this is the part that they donated to you. Yeah, I had a conversation with my girlfriend about this because we nearly had a full-blown argument about it, and it turns out that we're both right. Maybe you already know this. Maybe I'm going to blow your mind. But what do you call multiple computer? Like if you have a computer mouse, right, and then you've got more than one, what do you refer to that as a plural?
I usually just go with mice.
Mice. So it turns out it is grammatically correct to call them mice, but it is also grammatically correct to call them mouses when you're specifically talking about computer mouses.
Yeah. Well, I mean, mice refers to the animal, which this is obviously not. So,
yeah.
But yeah.
But I thought that was so weird. I always talked to the bandit as mice because she goes, "Oh yeah, there's a whole bunch of computer mouses at work," and I looked at her. Right, because she's a very intelligent lady, arguably smarter than I am, right? And I've gone, what just came out of your mouth? What just happened? You know when somebody like reads a word in a book and then they like never figure out how to pronounce it, and then they use it and the pronunciation's just so scuffed, and you're like, no, dude. No, that's not how that one works. Like, that was the look that I gave her. I was like, what did you just say?
Look at her like she just told you she's a fucking flat earther or something.
Yeah, exactly. And so she went back and she was like, no, I'm going to Google it. And we were like legitimately like probably, I think we were about so far from raising our voices. And then she ended up Googling it. Turns out we're both right. You can use both. You can either refer to it as mice or mouses. And so, yeah, that was the whole thing. So we kind of just like, firm handshake, called it a draw.
I can have an argument about that. You should the first thing you should have done is looked it up. Why would you even? Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, this is what we argue about in this house. That's it. Some people argue about food or power or financial stuff. I'm sitting here arguing with my girlfriend about grammar. that's how cool our house is. Only the wildest parties in my house.
Bringing your work home, mate, arguing over fucking stuff like that.
Well, I
100% a
suppose
lawyer.
you could probably say that. Yeah. That antagonistic personality, that adversarial mindset.
So I've got another one for you. It's not really gross or garbage or anything like that. Technically, it's just more of like why. Why is this a
Why?
listing?
Okay, so a bit of
I'm gonna let
a
you
weird one.
read this one out yourself.
All right, okay. I could see the title of this and I'm already confused.
So good.
So it says K98 Mauser rifle sling in Canning Vale, WA. The tagline says, "For sale is a new Mauser K98 rifle sling. The clasp is missing, hence the pin, hence the low price." So, and then underneath it just says military army with no punctuation, and then it says in the condition used. So he said new up here, but we
He's
don't
called
know
it new,
now.
but the conditions listed as used.
So
And it's
yeah,
new, but
so-
it's missing a piece somehow.
and that's the used part. He's like, well, I can't list it as new now because there's no pin in it.
So to try
So-
and find this stuff, I used the terms separately. I used missing, broken, and not working to find stuff. And this, I guess, missing gave me this. A fucking a Car 98 sling.
Is this just a bit of leather? Like,
This is-
really? Like,
Yeah, it's just
at
a
this
leather
point,
strap.
It's just a leather strap. That's
Yeah.
all it is, because it's not a functional sling at all.
What do you do with this? Well, I can't use it for my Car 98 now. Fuck. I'm just going to use it to beat my horrible children with.
Also, I love the fact how this guy is just like, yeah, there's enough people on Gumtree with Car 98s with no
Yeah.
slings that want
In
slings.
Perth. In Perth, in Australia.
I mean, how many guns do you think we actually have? I mean, we've got a hard enough time getting any guns.
Look,
you
there's
know?
at least one because I assume this guy bought it for his Car 98. So
That's it. We found the guy.
We found
He's
the
played
one guy.
so much COD 2. He's gone home. And he's like, you know what I'm going to get? A Car 98K. And then he's sitting there holding his Car 98K. And he's like, you know what I really wish I could do? I really wish I could put it away without just placing it down. So I'm going to get a sling. And just uses the pin for something else and loses it. Maybe he picks a lock. I don't know. But you're right. There's a story here. There is absolutely a story as
I kind of want to
how-
message him and ask.
Could you honestly, mate? I would, if you asked him where the pin went, or does he know why the pin's gone, and we could talk about it on the next podcast and see if we get a response.
So here's what I'm going to
from
message him.
Chris.
The default message is, "Hi, I'm interested in K98 Mauser rifle sling. Is this still available? If so, when and where can I pick it up?" I'm going to change this. "Hi, I'm interested in K98 Mauser rifle sling.
Yeah.
Is there a story behind the missing pin?"
We would love to know.
I don't own a K98, but I would
just want to
buy
know.
the sling if there was an interesting enough story behind the missing pin. No, I am not joking.
If we buy that sling, we're gonna have to bring it to PAX just to get photos with this sling. I love that. I love that so much.
All right, send message.
All right.
Hopefully
All
this
right,
guy gets
Chris.
back to me.
Hopefully,
would you say his
hopefully
name?
Chris.
Why would you say his name?
It's just Chris.
It doesn't
It's
matter.
just Chris.
But
It's not his last name.
okay. I mean, look,
And
we've
that's-
already called out the
that's the
title of
outcome.
bad, so if people really wanted to find it, they 100% could.
Look, if anybody else wants this K98 Mauser rifle sling with pin in it, as far as I'm concerned, or with no pin, as far as I'm concerned, we've done this bloke a service.
So I've got one more
free
for you.
advertising.
I've got one more ad that I thought was funny.
Yep.
Here
All
we
right,
go.
Yep. So
I'm going to let you read this one out as well.
Trouble comes in threes. Now, what category does this fall under? Is this good, bad, or
missing.
why?
Oh, this is kind of a why as well. Like, why did you
This is
list this?
why. Okay. All right.
This is plenty of pictures, though, to look at.
Plenty of pictures. Cool. So, This is an ad by Az.
Why do you say their
It's just their first name. It's just their first name. Well, it's not like Az is gonna fucking.
This is another guy with the
hunt me
location
down.
missing. Look at it. Requested. There's no E in requested. It's only the first E. It's missing the second one.
Requested.
Requested.
Okay, so he's letting you know that if you want to come pick it up, you got to request his location.
Yep. Right now it's mystery location.
What if? Okay, plot twist: the town's actually called Requested, and when we're having a giggle, and we just don't know about this place,
Then we are both assholes.
we're both dickheads. We're never gonna buy that guy's car.
No, it's fine because we could still buy the trucks though because he didn't specify no dickheads in the ad.
Oh, okay, we're good for the trucks, but now we're disqualified ourselves from the car because we've engaged in dickheadish behaviour.
What a shame. I can't afford it anyway.
Damn. I really liked that old dude's car as well. It was such a good ad. So the ad says skateboard trucks. It's being sold for $10 at Requested. It says what you see is what you get. Good trucks, industrial brand, missing base rubbers, and one wheel bearings.
One
Deck
wheel
screws
bearings.
included.
One
And he's
wheel
got-
bearings.
So just so that you guys can really understand how ridiculous this ad looks, it's like it's written out like a haiku or a haiku. I think it's haiku. Haiku is an anime. Haiku, where it's like, you know, there's like 7 syllables, 5 syllables, whatever. It's like what you see is what you get. Good trucks, industrial brand, missing base rubbers, and one wheel bearings. And then he's also got like $10, but he's put a space between the dollar and the 10 because
Dollar
he's
sign
just
space
like,
10.
yeah. Condition used, which is good. He's been trying to sell
Absolutely
these since,
used. Have a look through the pictures. Used
the
doesn't
pictures?
even begin to describe the condition of these trucks.
Oh wow! Look, so he's clearly been grinding rails. Is that how it's referred to? I'm not a huge skateboarder, but
Yeah.
wow. So it's like all the paint's missing from the bottom. The nuts on it are rusted. Oh wow! There's just paint missing everywhere.
So if you look carefully, you can see what he meant by one wheel bearings missing. See the one
Which
wheel?
image
That's
should I look at?
image 7
Is
out
it
of
the-
8.
Okay,
There is a
8
wheel that
images.
is just sitting on.
Oh, you're right.
You see
Yeah,
it?
it's just loose.
So each of the wheels
So
has
it's-
2 bearings. It has one on the outside, one on the inside.
Yeah.
to
So
roll
that's
it.
how you
It's about to
secure
spin.
it to the thing, right? To the axle.
That's what allows it to spin as well. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and it's
This
just
is missing both. It's missing.
So these don't even work.
Well, I mean, you can buy new bearings, but I mean, what he's got here, you'd be better off buying new trucks, new bearings, new wheels. You would just
I
buy
was
the
about
whole
to say, so-
assembly.
Well, here's the thing. We know that people would be better off because he's been trying to sell these trucks since the 8th of July, 2019.
I didn't even see that.
His $10 skateboard trucks have been sitting on the market for a good nearly, 8 months now?
It's been a while.
Close to 7
Been a
months?
while.
It's been a while. Well, mate, I hope you get your skateboard trucks sold sooner or later. I wish you the best of luck.
I
with
kind
that ad.
of want to buy these to show them, and then I'll just put new bearings in the one wheel, and then I'll get Tiny to record a video.
That would-
Like,
that
see, look,
would-
they work
that would-
fine.
Honestly, would be some good content. I would watch that. I would absolutely watch that video. Now,
It's just I'm not sure if I want to travel to Requested. That's all.
That's true. It's a dangerous area. Very, very, very nasty suburb, my dude. Right. So, Gumtree heads to one side. Good Lord, my chest hurts from laughing. Let's have a look at the comments on the last video. See where we are. Let's have a look. I'll bring it up here. So a few comments. We got one from Tiny says, or Tiny Fijian says, that little in joke took me out. Do you know which in joke she's talking about?
Yeah. The doing a shot and winking.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. I know exactly which in-joke. I was a bit confused to begin with, but now I am very much on board. Isaac Allwood has said, love your work, fellas. If I'm ever on this podcast, I will accept a Woody motif under the condition that I record my face and you motion track Woody onto it. In this episode, Vis used the term meme twice, once while talking about the meme counter from the previous video. So we actually have somebody that is actively counting the amount of times that I say meme in a video. Now, we've got our own, I don't know if you ever watched like Crip's videos. He's got the Cripperinos, people that hang out in the comments and track certain stats. We've got a meme counter now. Are you particularly excited for that? Are you proud of our audience? Is this something that you want?
I'm glad that means that Woody's actually watching it, because then someone is.
You don't like that he's encouraging that kind of behavior.
Look, you're not going to get me to say it, so.
Fair enough.
You're trying to bait me into saying it. I know you are.
Oh, look, I would never do such a thing. What a horrible meme that would be. Mono's come back and says a slice of Titans and Vis's experiences of life and streaming drama. Good stuff. I'm going to keep looking at this stuff. I give this episode a rating of crusty out of Titan's beard, which is, of course, a perfect score, as we know. And I said beard crust out of 7, perfect score. Tiny's come back with a second comment, says great episode. And then there's a bloke down the bottom just an hour ago. Rastaju has said, can't spell raids without AIDS. So he's really... We asked for comments to sort of respond to and bring in the material there.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong. By the same token, he's also not right. And I think it's a lot like Ninja's situation. He is right, but he's not right. So he's got a point, but he doesn't have a point. You know? You say two things and then you try and sound profound.
Rasta just enjoys getting a reaction out of people.
Man, do we know people like that? Which maybe is a bit of a foreshadowing for next week's episode. Maybe we'll talk about...
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, we could come up with anything between now and then, but you and I were potentially talking about moderation.
Yeah, I think that's probably where we're going to go with that, because that's something that we've both got a little bit of experience being on both sides of.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, I know a pretty decent amount about how the Twitch banning procedure goes, because I went and looked into it. It's actually very similar to how the legal system works. They've modeled it after that. It's just that their PR is horrible. So I think it's very, very interesting. And then, of course, you've also got, examples as a streamer, like how do you, obviously not the technical idea of how do you ban someone from your chat, but like how do you go about that? When do you pull the trigger? When do you, do you warn them? Do you give, do you have your mods do it? Do you talk to your mods about it? Do your mods talk to you? Like, how's it done? And I think it's different for a lot of people, and it's also different depending on how big you are, what kind of audience you attract. So I think that's something we could talk about at length. I think that would be a really good time. I would definitely enjoy that.
Yeah, I'm definitely keen to dive into that.
Cool. I mean, look, if you guys as well, listening on at home, watching on YouTube, you guys have any questions that you might want to talk to us, maybe about Twitch moderation or banning, leave them in the comments here, because we'll be able to read them out when we record the next episode. We record all of our episodes on a Thursday. They go up on a Monday every week. You can check it out at the NULLSCORE YouTube channel. Obviously, links to our socials are going to be in the video, I'm assuming. You're the one that does these edits. I'm going off the last format, so...
Yeah, it's going to look mostly the same, I think. It's just I'm going to be playing with colours.
Yeah,
that's the main change. I think that's probably the only thing that will change.
As long as it's in between the lines, mate. As long as it's all nice and slick. That's not a lot that's going to change, I suppose. So
no, maybe maybe if we continue this for longer than the 3 episodes. Well, I mean, this is technically third, sort of.
Technically, episode 3, or it's the third episode. It's episode 2, because I think the pilot episode we sort of just said, yeah, this is a throwaway.
We winged it super fucking hard in that first one.
Man, did we wing that? There was some winging to be had. There was a bucket of wings, and they were not spicy. They were bland, cold wings. That's what there was.
Oh man.
There was some dollops of sweet and sour in there, but that was a bucket of yesterday's KFC, is what that was.
It's like when you go to Chicken Treat and you buy something and it's just they hand you a soggy box and everything inside is just far too moist. It's basically water.
Just soggy box just does not sit with me well at all. Just
You don't like
those
soggy
two
box?
words next. Ah, yeah. God. You know how some people have like a bad reaction to moist? Soggy box is definitely not doing it for me. I can't.
Combine them all, a moist soggy box.
Oh, God, for Jesus, dude.
I'm
Come
looking
on now.
forward to see your pained expression in the footage.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm hoping you are. You see me eyeballing you in the edit.
Fuck.
Good Lord.
I guess if we don't
Alright.
end here, we're going to trip over what we want to get into next week. So
No worries. Roll the outro, Eddie. Get it done.
roll the outro. All right. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll catch you guys next time. See ya.
Thanks, dudes. See you next time. Imagine if we actually ended the podcast with roll the outro, Eddie.
Yeah, and it just cuts off there. Fucked.
What is Dr. Disrespect's guy? Alex? Is that
Alex.
his motif that he has in the background?
Alex!
Alex! Roll the outro!